Hello students, welcome to your channel ZEBISH English classes. I hope you all are good there. And what I have picked up today is this storybook Echoes from ISC board, which is for the students of 11th as well as 12th standard. And this is a short stories book and it has got a collection of short stories. And what I have picked up today from this book is the very first story, that is Salvatore, which has been written by Somerset Maugham. It is a very beautiful story, and this story is all about the character of Salvatore. As from the name of the story itself, you can get to understand that the character of Salvatore is very important in this story. So we see that this character of Salvatore is very important, is a protagonist of the story, you can say. And who is a protagonist? Protagonist is that particular person, is that particular character in a story or in a play who plays the most important role and who is a major character and around whom the entire plot of the story or the play revolves. So we will see here in this story as well that the entire plot of the story will revolve around this character of Salvatore, and he is a major character. So as far as this particular story is concerned, this entire story is simply all about the character of Salvatore as a human being. Now, we have to understand about him that he is an Italian fisherman. So from this thing that he is a fisherman, we get to understand that he must not have enough sources and he must be a poor man. But the kind of character he has got, the kind of characteristics he has got, they are commendable, they are appreciable. So we have to understand and analyze the character of Salvatore as a human being, which is very important. And for that, we need to understand the tendency of human beings in general, first of all. And then we will be able to differentiate Salvatore from other human beings that actually distinguish him as a human being. So जब हमें ये समझ में आ जाएगा कि बेसिकली अदर ह्यूमन बींग्स कैसे होते हैं या इन जनरल एक इंसान का बिहेवियर कैसा होता है, टेंडेंसी क्या होती है, टेम्परामेंट क्या होता है, तब हम सैल्वाटोर के कैरेक्टर को और अच्छे से समझ पाएंगे और तभी हम डिस्टिंग्विश कर पाएंगे कि अदर इंसानों में और सैल्वाटोर में क्या फ़र्क है और सैल्वाटोर में ऐसी क्या खास बात है. Despite being a poor person, despite being a fisherman, he has fetched so much of attention of the writer that he wrote the entire story about that particular character. So what is something special about him that will also somehow attract our attention towards him? So let us see this. Actually normal या in general इंसान की ये टेंडेंसी होती है कि इंसान चाहे कितना भी अच्छा, कितना भी पॉजिटिव, कितना भी फ्रेंडली, कितना भी काइंड हार्टेड क्यों ना हो, but then what happens कि if some problem arises in life, then the tendency of that human being is such that he tends to become peevish or kind of unfriendly, kind of rude and harsh. मतलब ये है कि हम वैसे बहुत अच्छे हो सकते हैं, बहुत पॉजिटिव हो सकते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रेंडली हो सकते हैं, लेकिन जैसे ही हमारी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम आती है और समटाइम्स तो ऐसा होता है कि एक के बाद एक प्रॉब्लम आने लगती है, एंड इट इज़ ऑल्सो सेड दैट प्रॉब्लम्स आर ऑफ सच टेम्परामेंट कि अगर एक प्रॉब्लम आएगी तो उसके बाद साइमल्टेनियसली प्रॉब्लम्स आने लग जाती है. तो अगर प्रॉब्लम्स आने लग जाती है हमारी लाइफ में तो फिर हमारी ये टेंडेंसी है कि फिर जो हम बहुत अपसेट हो जाते हैं, सैड हो जाते हैं. वो तो छोड़ो, आप 4 दिन बीमार ही क्यों ना हो जाओ, 4 दिन फीवर क्यों ना आ जाए, उसके बाद आपका टेम्परामेंट कुछ ऐसा हो जाता है, you do not like people around yourself, and if they talk something good also to you, you do not like that good talk as well, and then you respond in a kind of a peevish manner, you can say, or in a kind of an exasperated way, in an irritated way. ऐसा लगता है जैसे आप बड़े चिढ़ रहे हैं, आपको अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है कुछ भी और कोई बात ना करे, सब दूर रहे. एक तरह से आपके अंदर जो है हार्शनेस, एक क्रूएलिटी काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग आ जाती है, डेवलप हो जाती है, फ्रेंडलीनेस खत्म हो जाती है, वार्मथ खत्म हो जाती है, and you tend to become such a character when the problems or a kind of a disease, come to your life and you are victimized by that. So now we will see about this character of Salvatore, that he is such a person who will remain unaffected even by the problems that simultaneously arise in his life and strike him one after the other with a lot of cruelty And despite that cruelty, despite the harshness of life, despite the adversities that he confronts in life, he will remain calm, he will remain peaceful, and he will remain friendly, and he will remain positive. And that is something which is really appreciable, which is really commendable about this character of Salvatore. And this characteristic, this trait of Salvatore as a human being differentiates and distinguishes him from other human beings, from his fellow beings. Actually, it is not even easy, to carry yourself positive, to carry yourself happy, to carry yourself friendly, when the problems are there in your life, when you are being, when you're getting broken. See what happens, that the kind of problems that can occur in the life of a human being, and the kind of you can say sufferings that can occur in the life of a human being are as follows. When a problem strikes your life, it can break you, and it can break you if it is a kind of a disease, it will break you physically. If it is a kind of a problem that is creating a mental tension, then it can break you mentally. If it is hurting your emotions, it can break you emotionally. But here you will see in the life of Salvatore, it will happen that he will suffer from a disease which is incurable and which is so painful that he will suffer very, very badly, rather will get broken physically. And that physical disease and that physical pain will affect him so much, will affect his life so much, that he will also break mentally as well as emotionally, because the girl he loves the most will leave him for that disease which he gets into his life. He will get broken mentally as well as emotionally when he comes to know that the girl whom he loved so much and was about to get married had left him due to the disease that he was suffering from. So he was already bearing that incurable and the most painful disease, and to add to that pain of his, he came to know that even the girl had left him. So at that point of time, when he came to know the reality, when he came to know the truth that even he was abandoned by the girl he loved so much, he realized that he was broken physically, emotionally, and mentally as well, just because there was no peace in his life anymore. And also, he did not know what to do ahead, because the kind of a disease he was suffering from would actually break him, would actually confine him to bed for some time, and for how much amount of time is not even known. So the doctors had said that this is incurable, and at any point of time he may get an attack of this kind of a pain, which is called rheumatism, which is a joint pain that will rack his limbs, that will cause him intolerable pain, and that pain will surely confine him to bed and will not allow him to go ahead and work and do something for his survival. So this is how his smooth going life will get affected as well. And his mental peace was being affected due to that reason. It was so very obvious and natural that he was no more at peace mentally, physically, and just because he was even left by the person, by the girl whom he loved so much. That girl had left him, that girl had left him because she thought, and her family thought as well, that he was no more a deserving man for her, and he couldn't afford to marry her. He would not be able to support her like a perfect man, and for that reason he was left by that girl, and that had broken him emotionally. So I'm telling you the gist of the story beforehand, so that you can get an idea the kind of tortures and the sufferings and the tribulations that this character of Salvatore will suffer from. And despite all these odds and adversities and hardships and difficulties in his life, he will remain positive. He will remain thankful. He will remain happy. Not exactly happy, but will spread happiness around himself, in the environment, in the surrounding. He will ensure that there is no negativity in his surrounding because of his personality. And this is something actually appreciable and commendable. And for that reason, this character of Salvatore is a distinguishable human being from his fellow beings. And that's why this is how this story is all about this character of Salvatore. Now let us start the story in detail. So we will see that the story begins on this note. that in this story the writer is beginning the story with this particular line. I wonder if I can do it. So, what he means to say in this particular line when he is starting the story, that he is wondering whether he will be able to fetch the attention of the readers and whether he will be able to retain the attention of the readers throughout the story, throughout these few pages that he has written the story. So he is wondering about it, whether he would be able to retain the attention of the readers throughout these pages. And why is he wondering about it? Just because he is trying to find out whether people would be interested in reading about just one person, about just one human being, one character who is being described as a distinguishable one from other human beings, from other fellow beings. So the writer just wants to see this, and he wants to actually arrive at the conclusion whether the world has still got that sensitivity or not. So here we start the story and we get to see that Salvatore was just a boy of 15, and he had got a pleasant face, and he was very, very, you can say, innocent looking person, innocent looking boy. He had got a laughing mouth. That means he seemed to be smiling all the time, and his eyes were very carefree, as if he had nothing to worry about, as if his life was so full of fun and happiness, and his life was full of all kinds of positivity. Just because he himself was a positive person, he used to love to spread positivity around himself, despite the problems of money that he must have been facing because of being a fisherman, and who had no secured income, who had no secured earning and all. So what used to happen, that he would simply spend his morning time lying about the beach, and then he would simply enjoy that particular place where he used to go for catching the fish. So he would simply lie there on the beach when when he gets free. So we see that his personality was full of grace, and this is something you need to underline. While I'm teaching you, you should have your books opened in front of yourselves so that you can keep on taking down the important points that I tell you. So this is on page number 6. Open your books and let us go ahead now. So here in the first paragraph, you will see that this is very, very important line, which is describing him as a personality full of grace. And why is it so important? Just because from this line itself, you get to understand about the personality of Salvatore, which is full of grace, and grace is elegance, or you can say kind of a royalty. So it is not important for a person to be born with a silver spoon in the mouth to be royal, but it is important to have the royalty in your blood by being so positive, by having those standards of life. He was in and out of the sea all the time, swimming with clumsy, effortless stroke common to the fisher boy. So we will see that this boy seemed to be very, very habitual and used to of swimming, and that's why while he swim, while swimming, while he used to swim, you would find that he enjoys that a lot. And he would also enjoy those rough rocks where he used to live, and he used to take care of his brothers as well in such a nice manner, as if he was a nursemaid. So we get to see that he was quite a family person, and he used to love taking care of his family and his younger brothers. So it is also being said in the story that it used to happen in the southern parts that the boys seemed to be growing very fast, and so was the case with Salvatore. Salvatore had also grown at a very fast rate. And after that, he had fallen in love with a very beautiful girl who used to live on Crante Marina. So that girl's beauty has been described here in this story very, very beautifully. That she had got beautiful eyes, and she was very beautiful, and then she was even compared to the daughter of the Caesars, so as to describe her beauty. And he had fallen in love with that girl, and he also decided to marry her. So for that, they had got engaged. So Salvatore got engaged to that girl, and we see then in the story ahead that the family of that girl, and the girl as well, they wanted Salvatore to get settled with a secure job with a proper source of income, so as to go ahead and marry their daughter. And for that reason, it happened that Salvatore had to leave his island. He used to live on an island, Ischia, that is in Italy, and he had to leave that place. He had to go to a city site because he had got a job to become a sailor in the navy of a King Victor Emmanuel. And At that point of time when he was leaving that island, he was weeping, he was crying like a small child. From that tears of his eyes that he was shedding at the time of leaving his family and that place, that hometown, and that girl whom he loved so much, we get to understand about his character that he was such a homesick person. He was such a family person that he could not live without his family, and that he was so much attached with that place, with his hometown. He was so homesick that he couldn't live anywhere else. So it has been described very beautifully in the story that at the time of leaving his place, he was feeling very, very bad, and it was very hard for him to leave from that island, which was sort of a village, because we see that there was so much of calmness, there was so much of peace, people were very friendly there, just because it was a very small place. It was like a village, that island, and people over there were very ignorant, were very nice and very innocent, and there was no kind of a hatred or unfriendliness prevailing in that particular place. But now this Salvatore was moving towards the city, and that city will be so unlike that place of that island, you can say, where people will be unfriendly, cruel, harsh, and everything, and where there will be huge roads and streets and everything. So this person, this character Salvatore, was used to the mountain, the sea, the pastoral area, the natural beauty, and he used to wander around all the time in that area of the mountains and all. So he was not at all happy while shifting to that city side, and he was all the time, thinking about his place. And while he had started his journey towards the city side, he was imagining as if that place, that island, was so much of his part as his limbs are. That means उसको ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे उसके हाथ पैर उसकी बॉडी के इतने अहम पार्ट है, और अगर उनको उसकी बॉडी से अलग किया जाए तो उसे बहुत तकलीफ होगी। बिल्कुल वैसी ही तकलीफ उसको उस वक्त हो रही थी अपने आइलैंड से अलग होते हुए, अपनी प्लेस से अलग होते हुए, बिकॉज वो अपनी फैमिली को बहुत मिस करेगा। और सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंटली, ही लव्ड दैट गर्ल सो पैशनेटली दैट ही वुड मिस दैट गर्ल अ लॉट एज वेल। और वहाँ से जाने के बाद उसने काफ़ी सारे लेटर्स भी लिखे उस लड़की को, ऑल्दो बहुत ही चाइल्डिश हैंड राइटिंग में, जस्ट बिकॉज वो बहुत ज़्यादा वेल एजुकेटेड नहीं है, बट ही ensured टू राइट द लेटर्स कॉन्स्टेंटली टू हर, and he also used to mention, express his heart's desire in those letters that he was dying to get back to that place so that he could meet that girl. तो इस तरह से वो लेटर्स लिखता रहा। उसकी कई जगह पर शिफ्टिंग होती रही, जैसे कि स्पेसिया, वेनिस, एंड देन फाइनली टू चाइना। फिर ये हुआ, all of a sudden, this was something which was like a life changing game for him, that he got a disease, and that disease was kind of mysterious. Mysterious is secretive, something which was not known to him, and he did not know anything about that particular ailment, that disease. And once it is started, then he was kept in the hospital for some months, and then later on the doctors declared that the disease that he was suffering from was incurable, and that it would never get cured. And that is rheumatism. And rheumatism is the disease in which it happens that a person, the patient, suffers from joint pains, and that joint pain is just intolerable. It is atrocious. It is extremely bad pain. So that disease he was suffering from, it was declared by the doctor to him. But at that point of time, when the doctors declared this to him, that he was suffering from a disease which was incurable, and he would never be able to get recovered from that disease, but that information, that news did not affect him at all, just because he was still in the thoughts of his hometown and that girl. And he was thinking that it is so good for him that he has got the disease, just because on this ground he would be dismissed from the job, because he won't be allowed to continue with his services anymore, because he was no more a fit man to continue with the services that he was supposed to offer. So he would be now dismissed from the job, and after getting dismissed he had the opportunity to leave for his island again and to meet the girl again. So he was so passionate, he was so crazy and so madly in love with that girl, and that's why he got rather happy and did not pay even the least attention to the disease that he was suffering from, or to the words of the doctor that were so serious. So it happened that this is how he was dismissed from the job and he returned to his place. When he returned, his family people were waiting for him on the shore, and then they all greeted him, kissed him, and they hugged him, because they all were very emotional creatures, just because they are very innocent and ignorant people, and they are not at all aware of the harshness, cruelty, and unfriendliness of the city. So it happened that he was asking about that girl who hadn't reached there to receive him. So the family people kind of ignored the question and also said that they were not aware of the reason behind that. So this is how he was kind of sad when he reached home, just because he was more passionate and more excited to meet that girl whom he loved so much, who used to live on Crante Marina. So he was waiting for her as well to reach the shore to receive her, to receive him, but she hadn't reached there. So he got upset. उससे बर्दाश्त नहीं हुआ, उसको लगा कुछ ना कुछ कहीं पे प्रॉब्लम है, फैमिली इज नॉट टेलिंग हिम. सो ही डिसाइडेड दैट ही हिमसेल्फ वुड मेक अ विजिट टू हर प्लेस and would go and find out the reason behind that. So he reached her place. When he reached her place, he found her sitting on the door of the cottage itself, along with her mother, and then he asked her this question, whether she had received his letters or not. Then she agreed that she had received his letters. सो ही ऑल्सो आस्क्ड हर कि क्या उसको उसकी बीमारी का पता नहीं था. तो उसने कहा कि बीमारी का भी पता था. आई गॉट टू नो फ्रॉम द बॉयज़ अराउंड कि तुम्हें कोई ऐसी बीमारी हो गई है जो कभी ठीक नहीं होगी, ये भी पता चला. And as we got to know that you have started suffering from that disease which is incurable, and we realized that now you are not at all a perfect man for me to get married to. So he was like shattered at that point of time. And she also told him कि ये उसकी family का decision है और उसका भी यही decision है. She has already given consent to the decision of her parents. So she is also with the decision of her parents, and she has also decided to leave Salvatore on that ground that he is suffering from an incurable disease. So here we see that most important point of time in the life of a human being, when that person will simply shatter in all the possible ways. Why? Because he was already shattered. He was already kind of broken when he came to know about that disease. Although he did not react at that place in the city when he was all alone, just because at that point of time he was simply thinking about his family, hometown, and that girl, and he was happy to return to his hometown. And that's why he could not pay attention to that disease. But later on he must have realized that this disease would somehow decline him as a man, as a perfect human being, obviously, because at that point of time, whenever he would start suffering from that intolerable pain, he would not be able to carry on with his normal routine life and normal routine and normal life, and he would not be able to even earn properly for that reason. So obviously he was aware of all those facts, but then he was just happy to think that he would get married to the girl whom he loved so much, and that love used to help him overcome that pain, that physical pain. But then, when the girl also denied to marry him for that reason, it had actually broken him. Not only physically he was already broken, mentally he was broken too, and then this time he was broken emotionally. And this this emotional breakdown in his life added to the already existing pains, and this was something which should have turned him into a peevish character or a vindictive one. विंडिक्टिव मीन्स जिसके अंदर बदला लेने की फीलिंग आ जाए, और पीविश का मतलब है इरिटेट हो जाना. तो ज़ाहिर सी बात है, अगर उसको इस तरीके से मना किया गया फॉर मैरिज और सब कुछ हो चुका था, ही वॉज ऑलरेडी इंगेज्ड, और इस तरह से, तो इट इज़ अ जनरल रिएक्शन ऑफ ह्यूमन बींग्स दैट दे बिकम विंडिक्टिव और रिवेंजफुल। उनके अंदर फीलिंग आ जाती है बदला लेने की, या फिर वो बहुत ज़्यादा इरिटेटेड हो जाते हैं, नेगेटिव हो जाते हैं, और फिर वो अपने आसपास भी नेगेटिविटी ही स्प्रेड करते हैं. But then, despite these problems, when it happened with Salvatore, that he continued to be a positive person with calmness, peace, positivity, friendliness, that was something which was heart touching about him as a person, as a human being. And that's why this story was written by the writer to give us, to give all the readers a message of humanity, of a true positivity, and of how one should carry on and overcome and survive through the problems while remaining positive and optimistic. Because even if you turn negative and become cruel and harsh and unfriendly, will you be able to set things right in that way? If not, then it's better you remain positive, because that positivity will be the best friend of you yourself. So, this is how you will be able to survive through your problems in a better way. And that was chosen by Salvatore. Why I'm accentuating this point all the time, over and over again? Just because this is that particular point which can be a part of your question in your examination, and that's why you should understand that this quality, this trait of Salvatore, which is goodness, which is virtue, this is something which is very important in this particular story, and this will be the point of question as well in your examinations. And that's why I am accentuating this particular point a lot, and you should also take this down and try to focus on that so that you can answer very well. So we go ahead to understand then what happens next. It happens next that there was a girl, Asenta, and she had fallen in love with this boy, Salvatore. Salvatore was told about this by his mother, that this girl, Asenta, had fallen in love with him. And now we should understand and analyze the character of Asenta. Then Asenta was quite an ugly girl. She was as ugly as a devil, it has been described here about this character. And she was also older than Salvatore, and she had fallen in love with Salvatore. Now let us see whether Salvatore would get ready to marry her or not. So, actually, she was already engaged to a man, but then he had died while paying his military services in Africa. So, this girl was again single, and she could marry Salvatore since she had fallen in love with him too. So, when this was told to Salvatore by his mother, Salvatore gave his pleasant smile and also said that he would first like to see the girl, and he decided to do so. And he also went to see her from distance itself, and he saw her. And although he was very much aware of the fact that she was older than him, that she was very ugly, and he was quite handsome, but despite all that, he got ready to marry her. And he gave his consent to his mother after coming back from there, that he was ready to marry Asenta. So now it is very important for us to understand this particular point in this story, that appearances can be deceptive. It is not important that what we get to see from its outer appearance is always true, is always right, is always gold, is always good. It's not true. All that glitters is not gold. That girl who used to live on Grande Marina, who was a beloved of Salvatore, she was so pretty in her outer appearance, but then she turned out to be a selfish person, because she refused to marry her lover when he was in need, when he was suffering from that disease, and when he was sorrowful and sad. So, and at the same time, this girl, Asenta, she was very ugly in her outer appearance, but then she turned out to be a person who had the maturity to understand the significance of love, the significance of humanity, and the significance of a good character, besides money and all that come as a secondary requirement in life. So she had understood the reality, the importance, the significance, the essence of life, which lies in a good character. And Salvatore was a good person, and that was the most important factor for her to marry him, for her to choose him as her husband. So she chose him. And Salvatore got ready to marry her. This is how they got married as well. And then they had started living in a beautiful house, which was just a small cottage, which was in the center of that vineyard. And this is how they had started their life after marriage. And then they had sons as well. They had two children. And it has been very beautifully described here on this page number 9 in the second paragraph that. She was older than her husband, and that's why, I mean to say that she was older than her husband, still she would very calmly and very peacefully and very respectfully listen to her husband's scoldings as well, if he would scold her at times, for that respect of the relationship. So this is how she was such a mature lady, she was such a beautiful person. So we see that their life had been going good, but it was kind of tough as well at the same time for Salvatore, especially because now he had more responsibilities in life that he had to manage anyhow, because he was a married man and had two children as well. And at the same time, it could happen to him that he would start suffering from that intolerable pain, that disease he was suffering from. And उस वक्त क्या होता है कि उसके पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं होता कि वो कैसे मैनेज करे, उस ड्यूरेशन में काम करना उसके लिए इम्पॉसिबल सी बात है. Then how to manage, what to do, he doesn't know. And then at that point of time, he is like a helpless creature who needs help from his surrounding, from the people around him. And at that point of time as well, his wife supported him. So we see that Salvatore always used to talk very good things, and his wife also respected him a lot. But कभी कभी ऐसा होता था कि उसकी वाइफ जो है वो इरिटेट हो जाती थी अपने हस्बैंड से, सिर्फ इन मैटर्स पे कि जब भी उस लड़की की बात करती थी, उसकी बिलवेट की, और सैल्वाटोर उसके उसके लिए वो बुरा कहती थी जस्ट बिकॉज कि उसने सैल्वाटोर को छोड़ दिया था. लेकिन सैल्वाटोर उस पर भी ये कह रहा था कि जाने दो, उसे कुछ मत कहो, उसकी कोई गलती नहीं है, जस्ट बिकॉज कि शी हैड हर पर्सनल रीजंस एंड हर पर्सनल obligations, and due to which she could not afford to marry Salvatore. So Salvatore had forgiven her, and he just wanted to say that he very well understands her reasons and everything, कि किस तरह से she was helpless in denying and refusing him. So जब सैल्वाटोर उसको इस तरीके से जस्टिफाई करता था तो इस बात का बुरा लग जाता था सैल्वाटोर की वाइफ एसेंटा को. उसके अलावा दे वर लाइक ऑलवेज ऑन गुड टर्म्स विद ईच अदर. तो लाइफ हार्ड थी, हार्श थी, लेकिन फिर भी उसकी वाइफ जो है हमेशा सैल्वाटोर को सपोर्ट करती थी. और उन दिनों में जब वो सफ़र करता था उस रूमेटिज्म के पेन से, तो उस वक्त जो है उसके भाई उसको बहुत सपोर्ट करते थे. और वैसे भी अगर उसको जब वो नहीं भी सफ़र कर रहा होता था उस पेन से, उस ड्यूरेशन में भी जब वो जाता था फिशिंग के लिए, तो वो अकेले कभी नहीं जाता था, हमेशा उसको सपोर्ट चाहिए होता था किसी अदर पीपल का भी. सो ही वुड टेक हिज ब्रदर्स अलॉन्ग विद हिम, सो दैट इन केस ऑफ एन अब्रप्ट पेन एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम anywhere he should be with people, he should be accompanied with such people जो उसको वहाँ पर हेल्प प्रोवाइड कर सकें. इसीलिए वो कहीं भी अकेले नहीं जाता था. वो जब भी जाता था इवन फिशिंग के लिए, तो वो अपने भाइयों के साथ जाता था जो उसको अकम्पनी करते थे और हेल्प कर सकते थे एट द पॉइंट ऑफ रिक्वायरमेंट. राइट. सो यहाँ पर वी सी कि किस तरह से उन दिनों की बात फिर जो राइटर है उन्होंने एक्सप्लेन किया, आपको बताया उस पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड को भी जो उसकी लाइफ में आया. लाइक आफ्टर मैरिज ही हैड 2 children and he was enjoying his life, but then that time came just because he was suffering from that incurable disease, and that disease could attack upon him at any point of time. So that point of time actually arrived in his life when he started suffering from that intolerable racking pain in his joints, in his limbs. क्योंकि वो rheumatism था, उसका पेन था, तो वो उसके जॉइंट्स में स्टार्ट हो गया. और जब स्टार्ट हो गया तो फिर उसके पास कोई भी ऑप्शन नहीं होता था, वो कुछ भी नहीं कर सकता था. और फिर वो सिंपली जो है बीच पे लेटा हुआ है. और जब वो बीच पे लेटा हुआ है तो वहाँ पर कुछ फॉरेनर्स आए हैं जस्ट टू मेक अ विजिट देयर एंड टू एंजॉय देमसेल्व्स. तो वो फॉरेनर्स जब देखते हैं सैल्वाटोर को बीच पे लेटे हुए, तो सी उनका कंक्लूजन क्या है. एक्चुअली आई एम टेलिंग यू ना ऑल द इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स इन द स्टोरी. I'm not at all skipping those important points that can be the part of your question, and that should be the part of your answers. So यहाँ पर जब फॉरेनर्स देखते हैं उसको सैल्वाटोर को लेटे हुए बीच पे, तो उनका कंक्लूजन ये होता है, वो कहते हैं कि कितने लेजी होते हैं ये इटालियन फिशरमैन. Again, you see that we can never conclude anything, or we can never judge anybody or anything on the ground of outer appearance. Just because this person is lying on the beach idly, those foreigners should not have judged him as an idle fisherman. Why? Because they don't know the reality behind, the truth behind. They don't know anything at all about this man. And that's why they shouldn't have just judged like that. So we go ahead and see then after that, when he would recover, he would again take his life back and would start living his normal life and would enjoy with his children. उनको ले जाता था वो नहलाने के लिए, मज़ा आता था उसको, अपने हाथों से अपने बच्चों का ख्याल रखता था. और यहाँ पर बहुत ब्यूटीफुली एक और बात को डिस्क्राइब किया गया है कि जो सैल्वाटोर है उसके जो हाथ है वो इतना ज़्यादा कोर्स है, रफ है, और उसके पैर जो ऐसे लगता है इतने ह्यूज हैं, लाइक लेग्स ऑफ मटन. तो उसके हाथ और पैर जो है वो तो उसके जो हाथ हैं उनको डिस्क्राइब किया गया यहाँ पे. आई एम टेलिंग यू द लाइन ऑल्सो. I'm sorry if I said anything wrong. Salvatore had enormous hands. Okay, it is not about the description of his legs, but it is the description of his hands. Salvatore had enormous hands like legs of mutton. All right, तो Salvatore के हाथों का description है, legs का नहीं है. हाथों का description ये है कि उसके हाथ बहुत ज़्यादा enormous या huge थे, बिल्कुल मटन के legs की तरह, और बहुत ज़्यादा रफ भी थे. और रफ इस वजह से क्योंकि वो उन हाथों से इतना इस तरीके का काम करता था जो उसका फिजिकल लेबर होता था, उसकी वजह से उसके हाथ बहुत ज़्यादा रफ और हार्ड और हार्श हो चुके थे, जो कॉन्स्टेंटली वो काम किया करता था उसकी वजह से. लेकिन फिर भी जिस तरह से वो अपने बच्चों को हैंडल करता है, टैकल करता है, डील करता है, इतने सॉफ्ट तरीके से, ऐसा लगता है बिल्कुल फूलों की तरह. So again we get to understand the same point that here appearances can be deceptive and we should not judge anything on the ground of its outer appearance. अगर उसके हाथों को देखा जाए तो देखने में वो कितने ज़्यादा रफ एंड टफ हैं, बट वो सेम हाथ इतने अच्छे से केयर कर रहे हैं उन छोटे छोटे मासूम बच्चों की कि ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे फूलों की तरह हैंडल कर रहे हैं, और ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे बहुत ज़्यादा सॉफ्ट हैं. सो इट इज़ नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट कि बाहर से उसके हाथ कैसे हैं, बट वो हाथ अंदर से कैसे हैं और वो कैसे उन हाथों से डील कर रहा है, टैकल कर रहा है, टेंडरली अपने बच्चों को मैनेज कर रहा है. दैट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड दैट इज़ अप्रिशिएबल. So this is something which is a very, very important point in this story, which should not go unnoticed, because it has been described in 3 different ways at 3 places. Like in that case of the girl beloved of Salvatore, who was very beautiful, but then she was not at all beautiful inside, that means her heart wasn't as beautiful as her face was. So we should not be trusting the outer appearance. Then we also get to see Asenta, who is not at all a beautiful lady from outside, but then she's very beautiful inside. So again, appearances can be deceptive. Then we see how those foreigners come to this conclusion that the Italian fishermen are so lazy. However, that Italian fisherman who was lying on the beach, he was Salvatore. And we know it very well that Salvatore was not at all a lazy person. He was so dedicated towards his work, but then he had his problem, very, very genuine problem. But that problem was unknown to the foreigners, and that's why foreigners should not have judged him on the ground of that outer appearance. Again, we see here that the hands of Salvatore had been described very rough and tough from its outer appearance, but then they are so soft from inside, just because the same hands very tenderly and softly and lovingly handle the children. So we see that वो जो उनके 2 बच्चे हैं, जो बड़ा वाला बेटा है वो बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय नहीं कर रहा है बात को, लेकिन जो छोटा वाला बेटा है वो बहुत ज़्यादा एंजॉय कर रहा है उस बात को. एंड ही वॉज too young, right? Here, like we see that the elder one bore it with stoicism, but the baby screamed lustily. All right. And this is also important. They were both boys, and at this time, the elder was 3 and the younger less than 2. So the elder son was 3 years old, and the younger one was less than 2. And these two sons he used to enjoy with. So जब सेल्वेटोर हंसता है तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे उसके चेहरे पर एक बहुत मासूम सी हंसी है, बहुत इनोसेंट सी, just like that innocent and pleasant smile on the face of his small children. Just because Salvatore is an angelic character, a character like an angel. And why so? Just because of one thing. And what is that one thing? Goodness, virtue. To be good, to be friendly, to be kind, to be positive, despite the adversities, hardships, problems, and different breakdowns. All possible breakdowns that can take place in a human being's life. They had taken place in his life. In spite of that, if he continued to be positive and good towards his fellow beings, that distinguishes him as a human being from his fellow beings. And what is that? That is just one quality, which is goodness. So we see here in the last paragraph which I'm reading, I started by saying that I wondered if I could do it, and now I must tell you what is that. So the writer had started this story on this particular note, on this line. I wonder if I can do it, and here the writer is saying that he was talking about this thing, whether he would be able to retain the attention of the readers throughout these pages or not. Just because he wanted to see, as I told you in the beginning, that whether he would be able to fetch as well as retain the attention of the readers or not, because he was not talking about a governor, about a prime minister, about a president. He was talking about a very small person, about a very ordinary person. Just because the person he was discussing was merely a fisherman, but then he was not an ordinary person due to his trait, right? So again, this is something we should see, that if you see the surface, the outer appearance of this man, then we will get to see that he was quite an ordinary person just because he was merely a fisherman. But then he was different from ordinary people. And what makes him different from ordinary people? If he is not at all a highly designated person, then what makes him different from ordinary people? And that is his quality, his goodness, his virtue. Despite the odds, despite the problems, despite the hardships. This is important. So I hope you understood the story. Thank you so much for watching.